Thanks for joining us today with BRMC's Healthy Connections and Jodi Owens. Jodi, tell us what's going on over at Repel Diabetes Learning Center.
Oh gosh, I don't know if we have enough time. So much going on right now. Of course, we've got our regular scheduled classes going on for our diabetes self-management. Those are geared for people who have either been newly diagnosed with diabetes or maybe need a refresher or an update. We also have some classes going on and really a great, I think, opportunity for a lot of folks in the evening time. We are running every other month classes from 4 to 6 also. So that
that's
helps
great.
Some folks that are working
Yeah.
and maybe can't get out to the daytime classes. And then also we have our type 1 sessions for folks who have type 1 diabetes who have a little bit different of an approach with their care and their management, and usually their medications are a little different.
Can you go into some of that?
I can, and the interesting thing is we're working really hard right now to kind of beef up some of those programs because we're seeing more and more folks and more kids, especially with type 1 diabetes, and we actually have a pretty big population even in Baxter County and the surrounding counties right now.
Correlation between that and obesity?
More of a correlation, I think, between a lot of different advancements in healthcare. We're realizing and understanding it better,
sooner.
And then with the kids who have obesity issues and weight issues, actually we see more type 2 diabetes with them.
Okay.
So big difference there. Bottom line is we're there to help and glad to help in any way, whether the patient is 2 or 20 or 92. We have them from all age groups and all age areas, and so it's a really neat thing. Another service that comes to mind while we're talking about different age groups and different folks are pregnant moms who have problems with diabetes.
Okay.
And so we see a lot of patients, and now again with the newer and better diagnostic tests and blood samples and things like that, our docs are really getting those folks over to us and those moms for help, and even if it's just they need a meter and need to learn how to test their blood sugar, or if they need help with their diet and nutrition. So all those things apply to them as well.
And that's kind of one of the unique differences between all the other community houses that are on the BRMC campus and yours.
Sure.
You must have a physician referral. So the doctors in the community see their patients and realize, hey, diabetes is rearing its ugly head, so to speak, and sending them your way to make sure that they become educated on how to eat and exercise. And
it's a huge undertaking, I think, for the patient, and a lot of patients hear that news and get wide-eyed and get a little bit overwhelmed with that. And so we are there for support, number one, first and foremost, but then also with our educational program and with a lot of the new medications and different guidelines and regulations. We do recognize and need that doctor referral, because what we hope to do is bring the education to the patient and the family member and the support team, but also partner with the physician, and that's our job. You know, we want to fit into that team as best we can, and so it's a lot of times it's not the best situation to get into, but we try to turn it around and make it a positive situation for folks. And you don't certainly have to have a referral to come by to talk to myself or our other educators, Miss Jan Halligan, our dietitian, Miss Sherry Smith, who's one of our clinical consultants. She's another registered nurse there. So again, we are there in the office. We're there to help. We do offer some free services. We have a free support group monthly that meets on the 4th Tuesday of the month over in the large dining room. And so lots of opportunities there for not only that initial education, but then keeping up to date and keeping current. A lot of things changing. You know, I see stuff on TV every day about diabetes, about insulins, and about testing. And that causes some confusion sometimes. So
I would imagine it would for folks. I'm going to ask the question because I'm not a clinician, I'm not a nurse, and it may be something that is some of our viewers may have thought of as well. Type 1 diabetes then can be primarily controlled with medication, not insulin. Am I correct on that?
Actually, no. Type 1 diabetes
Have I reversed?
Oh, you kind of did, and that's okay.
Oops, okay.
It's such a common thing,
Yeah.
and there were so many different, we called it this and we called it that, and so type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune disorder.
Okay.
Type 1 diabetes comes on with the onset of very sudden symptoms, usually very severe symptoms, and then also the need for insulin.
Okay.
And always, henceforth, that person's pancreatic cells have stopped producing insulin.
And will never produce
And
again?
will not produce,
So
no.
you've got to take your insulin
Sure.
for the rest of your life.
That is true. With type 2 diabetes being classified as more of a metabolic change, having to do
pregnant
with
mothers.
right,
Okay.
and
All right.
overall, hormones and weight, and even gentlemen with their testosterone changes, and that's a big, I think, a hot topic right now too with a lot of guys. Is for so many years we've realized that as females have hormone changes at midlife or around 40 to 45. Gentlemen do too, and so that comes into play there as well. And also, and I love it, and I'll say it like Dr. Godfrey says to us. He's gracious enough to be our medical director, and he says, the calories in have to equal the energy out, or else we get excess. And that is so very true. And that plays a part a lot of times in that overall metabolic change also. And a person with type 2 diabetes may have insulin. They may use pills. They may use oral medications. They may simply be able to control their blood sugars with just food modifications and increasing a little bit on the activity level. It really depends on the person. It really depends on the patient themselves, and then the severity of or the length of their diabetes. And so,
if someone's on oral medication, will they ever come off it?
sometimes
There's
they do.
a possibility
Sure.
then with that.
Sometimes
Okay.
they do, and sometimes people never see oral medications.
Okay. They never go on it.
They get that blood sugar back down under control in a very early phase of what we call insulin resistance, and that blood sugar level returns back down. The insulin is then able to go back in and work like it's supposed to, and that person may never have to take a medication at all. And that oftentimes, I think, gets confused with curing someone's diabetes. We like to think of it more as just controlling, because again, if that person or if that patient is not able to control with diet and exercise, it's certainly not wrong or by any means bad that they had to take the oral medications or even the insulins.
Thank goodness we've got it.
Right,
It's been
exactly.
invented, and it's something, because there is no cure for diabetes.
There isn't, no. And we've come a long way in the world of medicine, so it's very interesting. And I'm really hopeful of what's to come, because we've got a lot of new and great things out there.
What about, can you share, you were talking about there's so much out there on TV and
Sure.
that type of thing, magazine ads and everything, that people look at, that it's got to be confusing as to what's best for me, which is why they need to come,
Sure.
attend your classes and find out what is best for them. That would be...
We try not to give generic pamphlets. And that sometimes is what a lot of patients get and are exposed to in the diabetes world, because it's so very individualized. And the meal planning itself, I mean, that can take so much of the patient's time and efforts just to figure out what to eat and what can work into things. There's nothing special about diabetes foods. It's all just about getting a good balance of regular, normal, everyday foods. And so that's super important, I think. The other thing a lot of times is we tend to not be as physically active as we were in past days and times gone by. And so getting that motivation and getting that kind of back on track for some people is a little bit tougher with arthritis and with other health issues as we get a little more mature. Those things kind of creep in on us, and so it is harder for folks to be active.
Absolutely. All right. We need to discuss some other things that you've got coming up over there, but we need to take a short break. We'll be right back after the break. Don't go away. Jodi's here, and she's got lots more to discuss about diabetes.